This has got to be the hardest prompt in the Create This book. Like, look at it. How am I gonna turn this into art? This is my Create This book, a previous page, skipping this because we're starting here. Create a spinner. This is the page. First, we have to fill out the circle on page 47 with each of the different options. Use a pencil and paperclip to create the spinner. Then place the paperclip in the center. Put a pencil in the paperclip to create the spinner. Give the paperclip a flick, and the choice will be made by wherever the end of the paperclip lands. Got it? Okay, starting off with alcohol markers, maybe a blue and a red, a yellow, purple. We're gonna need lots of different colors for this spinner. Starting off with vermilion for the entire background, because the idea that I have is to turn this spinner into the kind of spinner that you might see at a fairground or a circus. I think nowadays this is more like what we see in films than real life, but that's exactly what we're going for, like a cliche circus fairground vibe. So obviously behind the spinner we've got the iconic tent that you also see in movies, and like it just had to be red and white. We're also going for lighter colors because I do want the words to show. Unfortunately they did smear a little bit with the alcohol markers. I've noticed this a few times in the Amazon books, unfortunately, but hopefully we can still read it because it is quite light, the red. And alcohol markers are transparent, but this is a mixed media piece and we are going to be using lots of different mediums. Filling most of the page with this dried up red. Yes, I did film this before getting a new pack of markers and before refilling the older ones with alcohol. So we're using what we have, and what we have are slightly dried up markers. You can see this warm grey is looking patchy as anything, and unfortunately we're gonna have to adapt because it isn't going to plan. They are drying up and it's looking like a mess. It doesn't look intentional. We've got a few more colours to add before we can make any rash decisions. And as you can see, some colours have lasted longer than others. I'm not a huge fan of this blue, so I think that's why it's lasted. Orange and green are also colours that I don't tend to reach for. The yellow is patchy, you can see that. But I'm trying to grab the colours that I don't often reach for because they might be a little bit more juicy. Still, I didn't get enough. We've got the door and we need more bright colours, but everything is gonna clash. So I don't know what to pick. Nothing else is going to match this scene. I've got these. I don't know if that's gonna work though. Unfortunately, because most of the scene is the red. Like the tent is behind the spinner. Everything clashes with red. But it doesn't matter so much because the entire point of this spinner being here is because it's functional. This was the only way that I could think of turning this page into art. Like we've got a ton of words on one side and then a spinner on the other. I don't really know what you're supposed to do with this. And I do have a little bit of a confession. When I first saw this prompt, I was gonna cover the entire page. So another little secret, on the notes app on my phone, I have every single prompt listed. Yes, all 50 or so prompts are listed on my phone. Luckily, I was actually able to get this list from Di from the Aussie Crafter, who gave all of us in the collab a copy so that we could pick our prompt, and I put it on the notes app on my phone. Oh, and whilst we're on the subject, the Create This Book worldwide collab video will be coming next Thursday, 7 days time. I hope to see you back here in 1 week for that video. I've already passed the book along. I passed it along a while ago, but we're trying to get the book ahead, so the video is a little bit later in the hopes there won't be a big gap again. And I passed the book along to two of my favorite YouTubers on here, which is super exciting. But looking at this book, I am confused. It's patchy, and the only thing I can think of doing is reaching for these color pencils. I had to do this before for the Pokemon page a couple of episodes ago, and we're gonna have to do it again. Unfortunately, this is the only way that I know to make alcohol markers that are patchy look less patchy. It kind of looks intentional. So yes, we're going over everything in color pencils. This was a step that I did not see. It took a lot longer than I was expecting, and unfortunately that is what we're having to do to save it. Before reaching for the acrylic markers to add some more line work, This is a mixed media piece. And as I was saying, I had this prompt listed in my phone as create a spinner with no reference to any of the words or the diagram. So I thought it was just going to be like a regular prompt that says create a spinner. And I started coming up with ideas for that before looking at the page and realizing it looked like this. Honestly, I think having the entire list of prompts on my phone was a genius move. I don't really have an imagination. I can't really come up with things on the spot. So if you can relate to any of that, then this is a really good hack. Have the prompts written down somewhere or written down on your phone. And then anytime that inspiration strikes, you can just write it down. At any time on my phone, I'm actually like 10 prompts ahead from random ideas that I got months and months before, that if they're really bad, they might just get replaced with a new one. But at least they're there. By having an idea there, I can create and I can move on to another prompt, because it's really hard to come up with a good idea on the spot. So if you get an idea, it's best to make a note of it. And sometimes you might get a really good idea for a piece that you want to make, and it might fit in with a prompt that's like 10 prompts ahead. And this way you can just make a note of it and come back to it when it's time. That's my little tip. Make a note of the prompts, have it easily accessible, and then just write down ideas when they come to you. It's really helped me. So yes, originally I was planning on completely avoiding the entire thing, but you know what? This is a create this book, and we do need to follow some of the prompts. And this might be the prompt that we've followed the closest out of every single one. The thing I love most about this book is that you can take it how you like. If you want to follow the prompt completely, absolutely you can do that. If you want to follow it slightly loosely like I do, I also think that's completely fine. We use all sorts of mediums, create all sorts of art in different styles, different subjects, and that's how I'm enjoying filling the create this book. We do kind of follow the prompt, but not literally, I don't think. Obviously today we are making a spinner and we are writing the words. I tried not to think too hard about the words. I knew that I wanted two opposites of each type. We've got give and consume, hot and cold, liquid, solid, work, play, earth and space. Two opposites for everything. And now we need to reach for a paperclip in this messy drawer that you're going to pretend that you didn't see. Obviously, it had to be pink. We need a pencil, hoping the white won't leave a mark. Let's see if this will work. First up, we've got give, and second is yellow. That's right, the first spin gives us the word, and then the second spin is the color. So what are we going to do? Well, first things first, I think we need to tidy everything up. We need to start with a nice clean space before moving on to the second prompt. Create a wish using the prompts give and yellow. You're gonna have to trust me with this one, okay? This is the sketch. We're gonna talk about the inspiration a little bit later, but even though this is on IKEA drawing paper, we're gonna use watercolors. Yeah, you heard that right. And this is actually something I have done before in the old Daily Doodle diary. We made this page whilst filming a How Much Art Can I Make episode, used watercolor on this paper, and I kind of like it. Also got the color pencils out, both waters, slipping it down to something, reaching for that mop brush. And the color palette is yellow with a little bit of orange, a little bit of purple mixed in. As always, starting off by wetting the page. And this is not looking right. This is gonna be a hard one to trust the process for. I didn't expect the entire page to kind of go see-through. Like, how are we gonna know what color is down? Drying the page, it's gone back to normal. That's what we're dealing with. And I guess this is what happens when you use watercolors on IKEA drawing paper. Yeah, this is that roll that I picked up a while ago. And you add paint and it just goes translucent like this. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with, but we are sticking with it. Obviously, there'll be color pencils later on to save the day, hopefully. And this is what we're doing. But what are we painting? Well, there are 3 prompts that we need to include. Create a wish, give, and we need to make it yellow. So what did I think of? Well, first with the create a wish, I thought of a birthday party like most people would. A birthday cake, something cute. And then I thought, what if it isn't a birthday cake? What if it's a candle? And what if instead of it being give, like a good give, what if it's a little bit evil? What if it's a little bit like a witch with a candle instead of a good person giving a birthday present and a birthday cake? And then that got me thinking, I want to do a portrait. I want to paint a portrait. The color is yellow. And what did it remind me of? Well, if I say Tangled, you're probably gonna see it. But it's not the Tangled you're thinking of. I thought of the Tangled series, which I was literally watching at this exact point. I think I was a couple of seasons in at the point that I had this idea, had a completely different idea mapped out. We were just gonna paint like animals, having a birthday party. But no, I got inspired by the series. If you haven't seen it, it is really good. It's not essential. It was really confusing at the start because like, it's like the Tangled film and then there's like a one-off prelude to the series and then you watch the series and then Tangled Ever After slots in at the end of that, which is the short. And I'd seen both and I had no clue how to piece together what I was supposed to watch in what order. I got confused, I had to Google it. I think there's a couple of other things as well, but it was really confusing. Anyway, eventually I started the Tangled series and in that Rapunzel gets her hair back, the long blonde yellow hair, and different powers this time. Obviously towards the end it has to end back with the brunette bob to tie in with the other short. So the entire series is slightly pointless, it's not needed because it begins and ends in virtually the same spot. But anyway, the series is a lot of fun. The hair is back, it's blonde, but there's a very particular point where Rapunzel is singing the healing song, but instead of the healing song, it's like a dark version. I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it and you are interested, but it's basically the opposite of the healing song. So that's what I thought of. I thought of Rapunzel with the yellow hair, but a slightly darker version. The darker version that would turn bad and sing the bad version of that song. And that is loosely the inspiration for this piece. It's dark and mysterious with the tangled hair, with a candle, but even though somebody is giving you something and they could be a witch, they could be casting a spell, the look on their face is that it isn't good. And that's what I thought of. Really, I just wanted to paint a portrait, but I was inspired by the series. It is really good if you haven't seen it. And we have actually painted Rapunzel before. We painted Rapunzel for an episode of the Scenes series. Oh, and speaking of that, when I launch my shop, which is going to be very soon, there's going to be little mystery mini packs of stickers. So you get 2 random stickers. It could be anything from the Scenes series. And that painting from Tangled is in there. The whole process has been super exciting. There's a couple of videos coming up related to the shop launch. It's been a long time coming. I mean, I'm doing everything from scratch. I didn't even have a printer and everything is made in the studio. So I really cannot wait. I put it off for so long because it's just such a big investment. I honestly love having a printer. I love being able to scan my art and print my art. And just for me, I'm so happy that I did it, that I can make stickers and it looks pretty cool. There's so many pieces from videos like Peachtober, and also the 2 pieces that you're going to see next week are also going to be up on the shop. It's been so long and I cannot wait to show you. I actually filmed the collab video in November, so I've been waiting a while, but it's finally almost time. Oh, and the inspiration is actually this candle that's right in front of me. Obviously we can't make it red because the color palette is yellow, but we had to add a little bit of orange in there. Yellow doesn't have very much contrast. And now for the new routine for every single piece. We're gonna scan it. I don't know if we're gonna do anything with this at any point, but I love being able to scan the art before cutting it in half because there isn't really much of a way back once it's done. Makes me feel a little bit more comfortable with it. Not that it's enjoyable at all. I really do hate this step. Like, look at it. Fresh sadness every time. And speaking of, I have 3 glue sticks. And look at them. Every single one is completely empty. But these are expensive, you know? So we're gonna try and get what we can out, which is not much. We've got enough for one side. And we also need to cut out a section for the prompt. I did actually leave this gap intentionally. It doesn't happen often, so it's no biggie. But I don't know what we're gonna use. There are no more glue sticks anywhere to be found. I think I have a little thing that I picked up that might work. Just to look in this tub and realize it's actually not there. It's in here. But you want to know something funny? This is also running out. I need to get a glue stick. I've used decoupage before and it created a whole mess. It warps the pages far too much. But look how big the book is getting already. First up is the creation of 3 prompts. 2 of them made by the spinner, inspired by the bad version of Rapunzel that is not giving a healing song. And then the hardest prompt of them all, create a spinner. Well, I'm happy. I think that was the best we could have done with that. I want to say a quick thank you to my sketchbook buddies on Patreon. You guys are the best. Don't forget, next week is the big one. But first, I'll see you in a few days for the scene series. Bye-bye.